The Netflix miniseries Senna shows how Formula One racer Ayrton Senna became one of competitive racing's greatest champions, including his historical 1991 win in Brazil. In Episode 5, the show depicts Gabriel Leone's Senna achieving a groundbreaking victory at the 1991 Brazil Grand Prix, where he competed against rival racer Riccardo Patrese. This record-breaking win in Brazil was a huge milestone in Senna's racing career, and the difficulties he faced during and before the race made it an even more inspiring achievement. The show depicts how Senna had problems with his car's gearbox in the Grand Prix, making it harder for him to finish the race. The competition also took such a toll on his body, to the point Senna could barely move afterward. His victory under such harsh and tiring conditions symbolized his unbreakable spirit and passion as a racer, making it a key moment in the Senna miniseries. Senna's massive win at 1991's Brazil Grand Prix. Senna's victory in Brazil cemented him as a racing legend. Ayrton Senna holding up flags in Senna. By winning the Grand Prix in Brazil, Senna had achieved such an incredible victory for the first time in his homeland. Having been born and raised in São Paulo, Senna's lifelong dream was to win a race on the Interlagos circuit on Brazilian soil in front of his people. There was even a public perception of a curse in Interlagos that was preventing a local racer like Senna from winning in Brazil. As of 2024, only 5 Brazilian Formula One racers have managed to win the Brazil Grand Prix, including Senna, who won it in 1993. Senna finally broke the curse in 1991 in Brazil, becoming the youngest Formula One driver to become a world champion 3 years in a row. It also displayed Senna's remarkable spirit as a racer. Having spent years practicing and facing several losses on the track, his refusal to give up and push himself to his limits made him an inspiration to not just the Brazilian people but to racing fans around the world. What happened to Senna's car and gearbox? Senna's car lost control of his gearbox, making the race a greater challenge. Senna. The Senna miniseries depicts Senna losing control of his 6th gear during the last few laps of the Brazilian Grand Prix. While Senna faced problems switching gears during the race, he lost control of his 3rd, 4th, and 5th gears in real life. This malfunction forced him to stay in 6th gear for the rest of the Grand Prix. If that wasn't bad enough, it had also begun to rain near the end of the race. Per Senna.com, Ayrton expressed his fear of losing the Grand Prix and desire to win in Brazil for his home country when his gearbox malfunctioned. Senna's perseverance paid off in the end. Stuck in 6th gear for 7 laps, Senna fought to keep his lead over Patrese. Even though the latter had grown closer to him during the race, Senna reached the checkered flag in the first place, with his opponent just seconds behind him. How Senna was injured from the race. Senna's body was so exhausted, he needed help moving. While Senna managed to win the Brazilian Grand Prix despite his gearbox problems, his body faced problems of its own. The pressure of trying to control his car during the race, combined with an extremely tight seatbelt, caused him to experience a tremendous amount of strain. By the end of the race, Senna was left with a fever and muscle cramps. He could hardly even move on his own and required his crew's help lifting his tired body out of the vehicle. Despite his injuries, Senna reached the podium to celebrate his victory at the Grand Prix as he held the Brazilian flag and his trophy. In real life, he could barely lift his trophy because he was so tired. The Netflix series captures this inspiring moment of Senna overcoming his pain and exhaustion to hold up the award he worked so hard to win. All the challenges Senna faced leading up to and during the 1991 Brazil Grand Prix made his victory a monumental moment in both Senna's career and Formula One's history. Senna showed how all the odds appeared to be stacked against him as the press, his competitors, and even FIA President Jean-Marie Balestre seemed to want to tear him down. The fact that Senna pressed on and became champion in Brazil, despite these obstacles, made this one of the most iconic chapters in his career.